welcome to day 3. I am really excited and I hope you are too, because we are going to be piecing 2022. Finally, we're going to be piecing 2022. We've done good work on day 1 and day 2, and I hope it's kind of given you a little bit of clarity as in what you want to focus on, what you want to dump, what you really want to perhaps even revive maybe. Okay, you're going to be bringing those ideas into today's exercise. All right, we're really going to be piecing in those projects and seeing where they fit in to 2022. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can go about planning the year. So I'm going to give you a couple of ideas as well. All right, not all ideas might work for everyone. We are all different. Some of you might kind of jive with a specific idea, others might jive with something else. So I'm going to be walking you through a few different options that you can kind of ground your year in. Okay, so if you're ready, let's dive right in. You should have also received my email with the worksheets for today. If you've not signed up for the Plan Intensive Challenge, I'm going to leave the link. You can go ahead and do that and sign up for that as well. Okay, let's dive into your 2022 growth plan, and let's kick this off by thinking about your 5-year vision. Now, there are specific elements that I want you to think about: your revenue, team, milestones, offers, and the type of work that you do. So these are a couple of prompts and questions that I want you to take notes on, or just take a note of in your worksheets, or type it out. This is your 5-year plan. Who do you see on your team? If you don't see a big team, you see just yourself, that's perfectly fine as well. It's your vision after all. It doesn't have to be based on anyone else's. What revenue streams do you have? So we spoke a little bit about revenue streams yesterday. Go and use that as a refresher. You would also have ideas for what you want to do in the future, or what you're currently working on. Perhaps you want to add speaking into it. Maybe you want to add publishing into it. Okay, this is what I want you to think about for your 5-year plan. And how does this break down over the 5 years? So how does this kind of stagger into year 1, 2, 3, or 4? So this is the flow that we are looking at. Your 5-year vision, okay, it has to be big. It has to be something that excites you. I'll talk a little bit about that in just a bit. Okay, but that big vision has to be broken down. You have to bring it into, okay, what can I do that would inch me closer to that 5-year plan in the next year? And then from that 1-year goal or 1-year plan, how does that break down into the first quarter and then go into projects? So when you do it in this way, when you kind of conceptualize and visualize it like this, everything is going to be intentional. You are not going to stray, or you're not going to be distracted. You're not going to be pulled in to shiny objects, okay? Because everything that you do, you have to connect it back to this big vision that you have for yourself and your business. Okay, so coming back to just a couple of ideas about, all right, maybe you're a little bit lost about how big this should be, or what it has to include. So there are no right or wrong answers. The key thing here is it has to excite you. All right, it has to excite you. You will not know every single step of how to get there. It's very, very unlikely that you will know every single step of how to get there. And if you do know every single step, then your 5-year vision is not big enough. Okay, so if you know how to get there very simply, then you could probably do it in the next quarter, right? You don't need 5 years for that. So your 5-year vision has to be something that's big, something that you likely do not know all the steps to get there. Something else that you should be thinking about is, who does your vision require you to become, or what challenges do you need to say yes to? So if you're thinking about speaking, if you want to add that, if you want that to be a part of the work you do, but you're not someone who's very comfortable with public speaking, you do get a little bit of stage fright. So then there are challenges that you need to say yes to if this is going to be a part of your 5-year plan and you're going to achieve that. And your vision does require you to perhaps learn new skills. So this could be, if you're just starting on, you're intending to start an online business and you want to be a coach, then perhaps showing up on video is something that you're not comfortable with. But your vision requires you to become someone who shows up in this way. Okay, so these are little prompts and questions for you to think about and kind of get real about that 5-year plan. Now, there are lots of different ways to do this a new year planning exercise, lots of different ways. So I'm going to share with you a couple of ideas. One of the things that you can look at is your one thing. Okay, to do one thing that scares you each year, that kind of excites you, that motivates you, that's something that's going to be your focus. So for me, I've done something similar. Okay, so like in 2017 was Amazon, and then I did lots and lots of videos and webinars in 2018 because it was a fear that I wanted to get over. It was my membership, and then it was focusing on going evergreen. Okay, so this is one thing that you can adopt as well. Maybe what is that one thing that scares you that you're going to try, or that's going to be your focus for the new year? Now, another way to think about it is to have a theme for the year. What is your theme, or a specific word that you're going to base all of your plans and steps for the new year on? All right, for some of you, this might be scale. For some of you, this might be courage. It could be anything. All right, it could be a theme or it could be a word. Now, another way to look at it is if you just want to look at it around a big revenue goal that you want to break. Perhaps there's this huge number that you're just itching to break, and that could be your focus. Okay, each of us is different, and each of us will be motivated by a specific way of planning. Now, whichever method you choose, the only two things is it has to be motivating, all right? It has to excite you, and it has to be aligned with your vision. If it's not aligned with your vision, then either your vision is, it's not really the right thing, or perhaps what your vision is not really what you want, but what you think it has to be, or you just kind of need to rethink what you're going to do for the year. Okay, and align it with that vision. Coming back to if you're going to use a number to kind of craft out your plan or your steps or your different goals for the year, I just want to let you know that revenue is not a reliable marker of healthy business growth. Okay, now why do I say this? Is because I think there is just so much emphasis on revenue and not enough emphasis on profit. Okay, so if a business or a company increases their revenue, but your costs are increasing at the same rate, then that's not really scaling. And a lot of people always say, I want to scale. That's kind of like my word for the year. So I want you to make your decisions based on not how much you are bringing in, but what exactly is your profit. Because I know I've been really alarmed by many income reports where they say they made this huge amount of money for a launch, but the amount that they're taking back after paying every single person, whether that's an ad strategist or a designer or their business manager, and what is left with is sometimes very little, okay, or even kind of like a loss. Now, that's not really a healthy way of running a business. All business have costs, but you do need to manage that cost. So if you are intending to scale, if that's kind of like your word, scaling means you're able to handle a growing amount of work in a cost-effective manner. Okay, your revenue increases, but your operating costs, you're able to kind of keep it low, or you're able to keep it stable. All right, so focus on the profit. Don't focus on how much you're bringing in. Yes, that's important as well, but I do think the profit is equally as important, if not more. Okay, so scale up only when you're ready, not because it's a buzzword, because you do not want to be burnt out. I've seen so many people write to me saying that they're terribly burnt out, that their revenue has increased, but they're just not happy. Okay, so signs that you're ready to scale: you have a more or less predictable revenue every single month, and you also have higher customer retention rate. So someone who buys once from you goes on to buy other things. If you have some kind of a membership of sort, people stay with you for a longer period of time. So let's drill back to 2022. What do you want your business to look like at the end of 2022? And what 3 things must have happened during the year that have made it possible to achieve this vision? Now, there is another exercise called the postcard exercise, where you're basically writing to yourself from the future and telling yourself kind of, what has the year been like? How did it do? You could get specific. You could say, oh, by the way, I launched this, or I created this, and or this is how much I've made. These are the opportunities that have come my way. So when you write it like that, it's kind of like future pacing, where you are visualizing what you want at the end of 2022. So you could do that as well. Okay. Now, how do you know you have achieved it? So this is where I want you to try and see if there are specific things that you can tie it down to, whether that's revenue, it could be certain targets, or it could be specific opportunities that you're looking for, specific people that, let's say, you want to work with. If that's been on your radar, then these are things that you want to list down as well. Now, with this 5-year vision, with this idea of what you want your 2022 to look like, do a brain dump. Okay, you already have all of this info from the previous trainings, where the first day we spoke about things that you don't want to do, revenue streams that you maybe want to kind of phase out. Okay, take note of that. Take note of new revenue streams or offers or ideas for products that you want to create, and take all of that and do a brain dump. So what will you continue to run? What do you want to retire? Any kind of new offers or programs, affiliate offers as well that you have a stake in. I know a lot of you regularly part of affiliate promotions, whether that's the ultimate bundles or anything else. Do take note of that as well, and any other crazy ideas. Okay, you might not be able to implement those crazy ideas, but that's fine. Just note them down. I specifically have a tag in Evernote called Crazy Ideas, and whenever I come across that, I just give it a tag. So put them down as well. Now, how exactly are you going to pick these? Pick them based on your goals. Obviously, it has to tie back to your 5-year vision, and also on your resources: money, time, mental, emotional bandwidth. So what do I mean by this point? It means that if you do see yourself having a big move in the middle of next year, then you know that perhaps there would be 1 to 3 months where you're really tied down and you're really busy. Or if you know that perhaps maybe you need to be there for your child who has a major milestone next year, maybe shifting schools or something of that sort. Then if you are going to be, your mental and emotional bandwidth is going to be kind of drawn to that, then that's what you need to focus on for your season of life at that point in time. So this is what I mean by pick these things based on your resources. Now, what if you don't have an offer? You've not really created any offer as yet. You still can give structure to your year. You think in terms of so-called gravy. So if everything else that we were doing just now is the meat, let me shift back here where you're talking about your existing offers, new offers, affiliate offers. Okay, the gravy is where you are thinking about perhaps list building or traffic. Okay, so what are you going to do to hit a specific subscriber milestone? What are you going to do to ensure you get eyeballs on your content? Or even if it's promotion, okay, what are you going to do to grow your community? Who do you want to work or collaborate with? Where do you want your brand to be featured? Even if it's like a maintenance thing, any big maintenance projects. Do you need to revamp your email sequence, redo certain pages on your site? So when I was starting out, I didn't really have I didn't have any offer. A few things that I aspired to when it came to the gravy markers was promotion. Certain places that I wanted to be featured, certain summits that I wanted to work with or collaborate with, how I wanted to grow my community. These were the goals that I based my year and my quarter around. Now, that's about it. You have everything you need to start piecing your year. So like I said, do a brain dump and start to kind of, it's really like fitting in the pieces of a puzzle, right? Take a huge, whether it's a table calendar or if you're using Create, use the specific pages where I spoke about planning out your themes and campaigns, and start plotting in. Maybe do it in pencil first, right? Start plotting in what project goes where. Where do you see yourself maybe doing a launch? Or if you have a specific offer, there's an existing offer that you usually launch twice a year, then okay, when do you intend to launch? Put that down. Or if you have a new offer that you're intending on creating and launching, put that down as well, even if you have not created it. If you know the dates of when your affiliate promotions are going to be, put that down in the calendar as well. Okay, if you don't have the Create Blog and Editorial Planner, use the worksheets that I've given you as a start. Okay, then distill it down to the first quarter. What are 1 to 3 things or projects you will focus on for the quarter? Because, even if you are not clear about what you're going to do in perhaps August of next year, you want to get the first 3 months down, okay, Jan to March. If you can kind of extend it a little bit more, then do it till June. What are these projects that you really want to work on, because it's not very far away. So you want to get very solid about these things, specifically for the first 3 to 6 months. Now, another quick reminder is to be aware of your stage of growth. We did this in day 1. So make sure that whatever you're doing for the year is aligned with your stage of growth. You might need to, in the middle of the year, come back to the stage identification cheat sheet. You may have grown, then you may need to shift. All right. But in this first 3 to 6 months, see that whatever you're doing is aligned with your stage of growth, and whatever you're doing is something that's going to give you the biggest impact. Okay. And if you do see yourself having some kind of a knowledge gap, if you feel that perhaps, email is something that you need to work on because it's your foundation, but you don't really have the tools and it's kind of like your weak spot. Or if you are getting into maybe self-publishing and you feel that, you still don't know a lot about it and you need to learn more about that, be able to identify what your knowledge gap is and think about how you can reduce that knowledge gap. Is there a course or a program or a book that you need to read? Is there someone that you need to reach out to? Okay, take note of that. What is going to prevent overwhelm is to know these before they hit you. So if you know that you're going to be launching something for the first time, perhaps in May, and you know that you don't have the tools, you don't have all of that, keep it at the back of your mind and look out and seek out resources that will help to bridge that knowledge gap. So what you're going to do for today is to lay out your 5-year vision and then start fitting the blocks in your year or your calendar. So let me just stop the share. Now, some of you might struggle a little bit with piecing your year. You might not really know what exactly you want to work on next year, and that's perfectly fine. All right, give yourself time and grace. And if you do decide to do something and then perhaps you change your mind, that's okay as well. So I have had instances where I put something down that's out maybe 6 months, and I along as the year goes on, I realize that I need to kind of shift a little bit. I need to pivot a little bit. That's okay. Okay, but putting it down on paper, it kind of gives you that vision of, all right, this is what is up on the horizon. This is what I need to work on. Or when you spot it, even if it's further out, and you realize that, hey, this doesn't really make sense there. I need to move it up, or I need to perhaps put something else in place. That's okay as well. Okay, but when you put it down on paper, it's easier for you to make these choices and make these decisions. Okay, so give it a think and let me know if you have questions as you go through this. And like I said, some of you, this might come easier. For others, it might take slightly longer. Tomorrow, we will be talking about content and how you can use content, or how you can create content pieces that are going to support each of these different projects. So good luck as you're working through today's exercise, and I'll see you in your inbox tomorrow with